Trust me when I say, no doctor forgets their first surgery, right from wearing your OT gown, to washing up, to putting on those surgical gloves. I remember the butterflies in my stomach when I did my first surgery. And I also remember every nervous feeling vanishing the minute I held the scalpel in my hand. The first 2.4 millimeters incision in the cornea, I heaved a sigh of relief. After all, well begun is half done. I remember the phaco tip vibrating inside the eye while I removed the cataractus lens. I also remember injecting the intraocular lens in the eye and then hydrating the wound. The whole surgery took 10 to 12 minutes, but it was the most exciting and important time of my life. So I'm here today to talk to you about the lessons medicine taught me, because I believe that the lessons that I learned along the way were not just medical lessons, but life lessons. So the first lesson that I learned was dedication, hard work, and self-reflection. Now, the first step in my medical journey was actually getting into medicine. We all know the NEET examination today for medicine is one of the hardest exams. And at my time, we did not have it. But I believe we had an equally hard exam. So I spent my 11th and 12th grade studying, and I thought I was doing a rather good job. But most of my college friends would be out at night and partying. I went with them occasionally, but always with a book. So I thought I was doing a good job managing both the worlds. Whenever I would do badly in any of the mock exams, I would blame it on everything from the type of questions to the time of day to me not feeling good at that moment, but I never really had any self-reflection. One day, I came back at night from one such night out, and I had a little letter placed on my pillow. I'm just going to read you one paragraph of that letter, and you'll understand the gist. Dear Ritika, the aim of this letter is to rekindle the winning urge in you. You seem distracted when this is the time that you require to be most focused. I would be most happy just to see you put in the effort. After that, even if you don't do well, I would still be proud of you. But it would make me most unhappy to see you miss out on a career for lack of effort. I know you can do it, and you know you can do it, but you're taking the easy way out. Don't do it. You are gifted. Realize your own potential. I don't want you to regret it later. Love, Papa. So I know this letter would mean something different to everyone here. When you're a parent, it reads differently, and when you're a student, it reads differently. So I ask you students, when you're in the 9th, 10th, 11th grade studying, if you receive such a letter, how would you react? Exactly, speechless. That's how I reacted. This letter hit me hard. It took me multiple times of reading this letter to defend myself, thinking I was doing well, and then realizing that maybe what was being told in the letter was actually something beneficial to me. So I put my head down and studied for the next few months and gave it my best shot. I finally got into a college in Bombay, and that's where my medical journey started. So I realized whatever path you may choose, you need a whole lot of dedication and a little bit of sacrifice. So the second step along my medical journey, the lesson that I learned was to understand my privilege and get out of my comfort zone. Coming from Bombay and studying in schools like BIS, I knew we led a very sheltered and privileged life. I had no idea how the rest of India worked, and I definitely didn't have any idea how the rural medical services were. I remember my first rural posting so well. I took a 1.5-hour train to Virar. I got off, and I got onto an ST bus, much like this one. This bus was shared by fisherwomen with baskets on their head, and every time the bus jerked, I was so worried that the fish water would fall on my shoes. I would then get off at the village, take a rickshaw, and walk 20 minutes in a field to reach a hospital. When I reached the rural hospital, all that was there was one room, which doubled as a procedure room, as well as an examination room. And I wondered what could be done here. There were creatures like this crab going around. But when we started examining patients, I actually understood how much we were helping the village people. So slowly, from observing, I started assisting. And when that happened, there was no time to worry about shoes. There were times that your shoes would be soaked in blood or other fluids. There were times that your hands would be deep in the abdomen of patients, suturing wounds and there was no time to think how your manicured fingernails were. So I started my MBBS journey, worried about my shoes and manicured fingernails, but by the time I finished, I was a whole new person. I had realized how privileged I was, and I wasn't afraid to get my hands dirty, well, literally. So the third lesson that I learned was gratitude and to be humble. After MBBS, I knew that I wanted to be an eye surgeon just like my father. I had spent many evenings after school at his clinic, and I had observed how he interacts with his patients. I had also seen how his operated patients spoke to him with love, affection, and showered so many blessings on him. It was almost like they considered their doctor God. So when I finished my first surgery, like the one I described above, I was very excited to see the patient the next day. I was wondering full night how I would feel. I thought, would I feel like I had convinced everyone that I was the best surgeon? Would I feel excited? How would I feel exactly? Would it be an egoistic feeling? Would I feel like I was invincible? The patient did come the next day, and he was very grateful that I had given him vision. But to my surprise, the only feeling I had was gratitude. It was a truly humbling experience. I was so grateful to be able to help these people. I was so privileged that I was in a profession that allowed me to help these patients. So the fourth lesson that I learned was to do it your way, follow your own path, and it's okay. So I had spoken about a part of India that most of us know about, but the other end of the spectrum exists too. After I finished ophthalmology, I didn't want my journey to end there. I wanted to super specialize. So I went to Chicago to a university called Northwestern, where I super specialized in subjects of my interest, which is LASIK, or refractive surgery as we know it, and dry eyes. I chose this because so many people suffer from dry eyes, but not much is done to make them feel better. So I would attend many national and international conferences until one day I saw exciting advances in a place in India called Narayana Nethralaya in Bangalore. Now, I knew I had to go there and learn everything that there was to learn over there. So I left my then 18-month-old baby girl, Anaya, who is now in grade 2 in BIS, with my mom, and I went off to Bangalore. Over there, I was introduced to the latest technologies, newest machines. I had the chance to do a lot of research and present at national and international conferences, so much so that I caught the attention of my professors at Northwestern, who then invited me back to Northwestern to teach them everything that I had in India, because it hadn't yet reached the US. So this is a part of India that not many of us know, that we too have a lot to offer when it comes to education. So from the US, I came back home. I came to Bombay and started the first dry eye clinic in Bombay. Most people thought it was professional suicide, but I did it my way, and thankfully, 7 years later, I am still there. So just to end, I would like to tell you what I wrote on the walls of Narayana Nethralaya just before I left to motivate the future fellows, because I believe it to be true even today, no matter what path you may choose in life. You don't always get what you wish for. You get what you work for. So work hard and be positive. It's not going to be easy, but I promise you it will be worth it. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Ritika, for that fascinating glimpse into the world of the practice of medicine in India today and ophthalmology. A quick couple of questions. Anybody? Okay, I think we have one here.
Hi.
Hi.
So, with a career in medicine, which can be quite demanding, how do you maintain work-life balance? Do you feel that you can have it all?
Do you feel you can have it all? Okay, so I did mention in my talk where I left my 18-month-old baby girl and I went to study. Also this weekend, I left a very, very important conference and I attended the VEP with my kids. So whether you can have it all, my answer is yes, you can have it all, just not at the same time. In the span of your full career, you will have it all. But don't expect to have it all at the same time.
I think that's it. Thank you very much, Ritika.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.